Hi, today I have a message called Relax Out of a Timeline. Here is the short version. You can allow ego to grab a character and to speak to you through the surface you constructed with fear thoughts. While acknowledging that timelines are illusions, we're going to use the idea. You can relax out of a timeline in which a character would speak to you from ego. It doesn't matter which timeline you have chosen, it's the same being waiting patiently for you behind the character. Gently, gently. Go gently now and explore your thoughts slowly. That's the character your thoughts have programmed. Imagine you have been trudging in and out of timelines, and now you notice you are wearing a harness. Spirit can pluck you up and set you down. Okay, so that's the short one, and here's the long one. You can allow ego to grab a character and speak to you through the surface you constructed with fear thoughts. Of course, spirit can do this too. We can allow spirit to speak through anyone or anything to us. But the part that's emphasized here is where we have allowed ego to grab a character and to speak to us through that. And what's it speaking through? A surface we ourselves are projecting upon the being, a character made out of fear thoughts. Behind all that is love. So when I don't feel good, I have allowed ego to grab characters and to interpret them for me, or to speak through them to me, even if it seems like I'm judging someone on television. It's the power we have to be with one another, to be with the actuality of one another, is the same power everywhere. And if I feel at all disturbed by your surface, I have allowed ego to grab you and use you in some way. But if I feel disturbed in particular by what you're saying, I've told ego, speak through this one. And it seems weird to think we have that power, but we do. So that's just, it's being introduced to us so we can take it in and apply it and understand it's a very safe power. If you want to be safe and happy, then you begin to allow safety and happiness to speak to you through everyone and everything. If you know safety and happiness are the only things that are, or all their synonyms, grace, truth, peace, that's the only thing that's real, then you can kind of laugh off everything you did before with fear thoughts and begin to allow that happiness to speak through everyone and everything to you, because it's our play here, and we let the play draw to a joyful conclusion together. Okay, while acknowledging that timelines are illusions, we're going to use the idea. You can relax out of a timeline in which a character would speak to you from ego. So when it seems to be happening, instead of trying to handle that timeline, we can take a moment first and think, if I relaxed out of this, what I asked the ego to do, if I relaxed out of that, where would I end up? That doesn't mean we don't take action. That doesn't mean we don't speak. It means we take a moment first to relax out of what we made, because with the thoughts we believed, we made that experience. And then the question might come up, well, doesn't that character over there have any volition? Yeah, from their perspective they do, and from my perspective, I have ego's volition of one character versus another, and we can seem to do opposing and conflicting things. I still have that mindset that that's possible. But in reality, what is our happiness? Our happiness is our one harmonious will that we share. And to be willing to relax into the timeline where that character is fully aware of it and seeming to employ it is not a problem, because that's much closer to who they really are and always have been. I'm being shown Scrooge here. You see the Scrooge at the beginning and the Scrooge everybody's willing to see at the end. It's not like he made himself better, although we do accept healing for ourselves. There had to be a willingness to see the version of the character who would be joyful for that even to happen. Okay. What else? Well, acknowledging that timelines are illusions, we're going to use the idea. You can relax out of a timeline in which character would speak to you from ego. And the idea of prickles. Prickles comes up. I think the idea of, if we think somebody is a certain way, we believe ahead of time we know the personality of bodies. When I encounter this body, it's going to have this personality. And we're actually wrong about that. We don't know. But thinking we do know is a block to the love that would flow through everyone and everything. So that's an invitation. We don't actually know. And keeping an open mind and understanding that we can relax out of the fearful choices we made before to see a reflection of fearful things. And by fearful, I mean if there's any reactivity of irritation, annoyance, boredom, fatigue, it doesn't just have to be the idea of being scared. Any of that is fear. It's a resistance. It's a defensiveness. And as we learn to lower that, I'm going to lower what seems to protect or hold my separate character in place, and what I think this separate character is, and what I've worked hard to establish this separate character as I lower that for me, I let that fall down for everybody else too, and anything's possible. Well, if the only real things are goodness without opposite things, then we don't have to be scared of anything being possible. We don't have to be scared of everything becoming very flexible. It doesn't matter which timeline you have chosen, it's the same being waiting patiently for you behind the character. So that's a fun one. No matter who you seem to be with, you're with the same one. If you think of one being, and you don't have to stay there, because as we learn, as we're guided through and out of the nightmare we made, we definitely see and interact with characters who seem to be separate. So if that's a fearful thing to you, you don't have to pause there or force it, but it can be very helpful to see behind any character is the same being waiting for me. And just take that in and open up to what would be possible then. If it's the same benign, loving, harmonious, sinless being, lovable being waiting for you behind every character, then it's different. And if ideas about danger come up, then let them, and examine each one with spirit. And then focus back towards spirit and put spirit in charge. We don't have to force our characters to pretend to believe things that we don't believe yet. That's not going to work. But we can do some work on this end of where we still believe resistant and defensive things, and taking in the suggestion that we could see things very differently. Taking that suggestion in. We don't have to try to force ourselves to act a certain way or try to force a belief on ourselves, but we can look at the beliefs that resist what's actually here for us. Okay, gently, gently. Go gently now and explore your thoughts slowly. That's the character your thoughts have programmed. That would be the character I call me, and all the characters I seem to meet. My thoughts programmed that. Well, what about the other one? Yes, they're the same being. So the ego thoughts that we believe program anything that would bother us or seem to be a limit. And the thoughts from spirit that are here and available for everybody program our way through and out of this tangle of representative thought, the perception, through and out of that. So the thoughts of spirit are always here for us, and the thoughts of what we are together can speak to you through anyone and anything. If you're looking at a flower and you feel joy and you feel peace, that flower is speaking to you. So it doesn't have to be with words. It can be however that thing or that character or that circumstance speaks to you. But everything can speak to you of love, with love, through love. Okay. Imagine you have been trudging in and out of timelines, and now you notice you are wearing a harness. Spirit can pluck you up and set you down. So there was the down image first. You can relax down out of your defensiveness. It doesn't matter which metaphor gets used. Spirit will use any metaphor. Now we're in this harness, and when we realize, oh, I'm in some tangle of defensive thought, I don't feel good, and I'm experiencing in accordance with these thoughts I believe for a long time, here's Spirit. Spirit knows you've recognized this. I'm real willing to see things differently. Yoink! The Spirit can set you down seemingly in a different place, meaning you begin to see everything very differently. And that can happen in the middle of a conversation. That's why we do this mind training, so we can notice or relax out of, or find our willingness to be plucked up out of our current perception and set down where it's appropriate for us. And we trust Spirit to do that. Spirit is what we all are together. Okay, feel like there's something else. Imagine you have been trudging in and out of timelines. When our mind is aimless and when we're not paying attention to thought causes my feeling, my own thought causes my experience. When we're not seeing it that way, it can seem very aimless and chaotic, and it can seem like we're subject to everything and everyone around us, and we have to just rely on them. We hope they show up lovingly, but that's not the case at all. So if we notice and remember, love can speak to me through everyone and everything. Love can speak through me, and I just have to open up to that. And if I have any memories or thoughts that would contradict that, that's my work today. So I don't need the defensiveness. I do need the help of Spirit, and I do need the willingness to focus on what is actually here. And I do need the willingness to set aside what I've been believing before. Okay, it's Christmas Eve here, so wishing you beautiful holiday celebrations, if you're having those, and wishing you a beautiful day, either way. Thank you.